The Maine Sea Grant program at the University of Maine receiving funding for lobster research and outreach. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is awarding the program $1.4 million. It's part of the American Lobster Initiative funded by the NOAA Sea Grant. The funding will help the Maine Sea Grant address complex challenges that the American lobster fishery is facing for the next 4 years. The research findings will also be made available to fishermen, policymakers, and the public.
We've had such a long history of being a Sea Grant partner here at the University of Maine, and we know that that's really vital to the state. It serves the needs of so many different groups of stakeholders, ranging from people active in the fishing industry to people trying to build their businesses and trying to get started in aquaculture and a wide range of different domains that involve the sea. So when those dollars come in, we are very grateful for the chance to serve the state with them. It's meant very much to be a part of the land grant, Sea Grant spirit, where we understand what the problems of practitioners are and then work together with them to find solutions.
Alongside the $1.4 million award, NOAA is giving an additional $600,000 to fund second-year lobster research projects led by UMaine and others.